So as you probably know, we traveled from Florida to Texas to see the eclipse. But there were some major hurdles. Would we be able to even see totality because of the clouds? And could I get a decent picture with storms on the horizon? And most importantly, would the trolls win? So let's back up a bit. My family and I set off Friday afternoon on a 16-hour drive. We chose to drive because 1, I could take my telescope more easily, and 2, it was cheaper. When we set off, it looked like we would have a good chance at seeing it from Dallas. There may be clouds, but we only expected about 50% cloud cover. We chose Dallas because we could stay with our family friend. But did we make a mistake in our destination? Would clouds ruin everything? On April 6th, when we got to Dallas, I was worried. Forecasts were saying 60 to 80% cloud cover. And what's worse, the forecast predicted low-level clouds. We might not even be able to see the eclipse at all. So what should we do? Get up early on April 8th and head to Arkansas or Oklahoma? Could we even do that? So I did what you should never do. I looked at Twitter, and that's when I found them. The trolls. The kind of people you expect to find in the dark places of social media nowadays. People who pretend to take pleasure in other people's pain. Here's an example. And another. People who thought that coming to Dallas for the eclipse was a waste of money and were happy the clouds would ruin it for us. Residents who probably had a better idea of Dallas weather than I did. We might just have to travel to Oklahoma after all on Monday morning. But then I found it. A meteorologist from Dallas named David Finfrock, who seemed to know what he was talking about. He thought there was still hope. I had also been looking at the New York Times website. They had a forecast based on the national blend of models. The blend of models usually perform better than any single model, usually, and on the 6th it didn't look good. On Sunday the 7th, it was really clear. Maybe it would stay clear for a day. The New York Times forecast improved a bit. Instead of saying 60 to 80% cloud cover, they predicted 40 to 60% cloud cover. I decided to set up my telescope that evening, which included polar aligning and focusing the telescope. I figured that if the forecast improved even more, we'd stay and I'd have the telescope already set up. I'd check the forecast early in the morning, and if it looked bad, we'd quickly pack up and head north. So it was 6 a.m., April 8th. I look at the latest forecast and it says 20 to 40% cloud cover. Things have improved, and it seemed like we had a better chance of seeing the eclipse than anyone else in the region. I quickly checked outside and it was clear. I guess we'd stay put, but it was still early. Forecast had clouds rolling in from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Low clouds. The trolls could still be right. And clouds did roll in. At 9 a.m., none of the sky was visible. The sun was not visible. 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and even 12 p.m., nothing was visible. There was a chance this would happen. The clouds would not dissipate in time to see the eclipse at all. I had 20 minutes until the eclipse started. But suddenly, around 12 p.m., there were breaks in the clouds. Just a bit. I quickly turned on the telescope, slewed to the sun, and aligned it. I decided to stream it on YouTube with the expectation that I would not monitor chat or speak. Above all, I wanted to enjoy the eclipse. Normally I would take about 20 subframes, wait a couple minutes, and then take 20 more subframes. I would then stack each set of subframes later on in order to create a time lapse of the eclipse. Today, I didn't think the clouds would cooperate that much, so instead I just took a subframe every 15 seconds. I don't think that was a bad decision. Just look at some of the images I took through the telescope. Do you see anything? Me either. With a solar filter and clouds, nothing showed up at all. But things weren't that bad. I got a lot of images that looked like this. They were nice and clear. You can see the moon's shadow, you can see sunspots. It was pretty beautiful. Slowly, ever slowly, the moon's shadow started covering the sun. Until totality. My wife was screaming for joy. Our family friend was screaming. My kids were screaming. The neighbors were screaming. I thought, why can't they control their emotions? But at the same time, I was screaming. I'm a total hypocrite. Totality had come, even through the clouds. It was glorious. It was quite frankly the coolest thing I've ever seen in nature. I checked the images from my telescope and I saw nothing. It turned out I had forgotten to take off the solar filter, so in the middle of totality, I quickly went to my telescope, took off the solar filter, and increased the exposure time. I also started taking images with my Canon DSLR that I had piggybacked on the telescope. We saw it. Here's a video our family friend took of it with her iPhone. You can see how many clouds there were, but it didn't matter. They were high-level clouds mostly, and it was awesome. Now, there's just one thing I have to do before I show a time lapse of the whole eclipse. And here is the full eclipse. It was taken with a monochrome camera, but I colored it orange because why not? Thanks for watching.